The sirens would not stop. Police cars raced down quiet roads in northern New York. Helicopters shook the sky. Schools were closed. Highways were blocked. Families locked their doors and stayed inside. Armed officers searched through thick woods with rifles and flashlights. 2 dangerous men were missing. They had just escaped from one of the toughest prisons in New York State. And nobody knew where they were. The prison was Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora. People called it Little Siberia because winters were freezing and the prison sat far from big cities. It was supposed to be secure. Strong walls, tall fences, armed guards. But on that June morning in 2015, 2 beds inside that prison were empty. David Sweat, Richard Matt, gone, and New York shut down in fear. How did they escape? And where were they hiding? Now let's go back. Before the sirens, before the helicopters, before the state of New York held its breath. Clinton Correctional Facility looked calm from the outside. Red brick walls, guard towers, barbed wire. Inside, the routine never changed. Count, meals, work, lockdown. David Sweat was quiet and smart. He liked a plan. He kept to himself. He watched and listened more than he talked. Richard Matt was different. Older, loud, confident. He liked attention. He could charm people when he wanted to. They became friends inside prison. That friendship would change everything. Life in prison moves slowly. Days feel long. Nights feel longer. For most inmates, escape feels impossible. But Sweat and Matt began to look at the prison differently. They worked in areas where they could see pipes and walls. They noticed things others ignored. Old systems, metal tunnels, steam lines. Sweat started studying the structure. He thought like a builder. He thought like an engineer. He thought about freedom. There was also someone else. A prison employee named Joyce Mitchell. She worked in the tailor shop. She was trusted. She had access. Over time, she became close to Matt and Sweat. Too close. They talked. They joked. They built trust. And slowly, the plan grew. The low point of the story came quietly. No alarms. No loud fights. Just slow preparation. Sweat used tools meant for prison jobs. He hid them. He brought them back to his cell. At night, when the prison was quiet, he began cutting through the back of his cell wall. Concrete dust fell onto the floor. He covered the hole with cardboard and painted it to look like the wall. Every night, he cut a little more. Every night, he risked everything. Matt worked on his own hole too. They used hacksaw blades. They cut through steel. They cut through pipes. The work was slow and dangerous. One wrong sound and it would be over. But the guards never noticed. Joyce Mitchell helped by bringing small tools inside. She later said she felt special, important, needed. But what she did was serious. Without those tools, the plan may have failed. Weeks turned into months. The holes in the walls grew larger. Behind the cells was a narrow catwalk. From there, they could reach pipes and tunnels. They studied the layout carefully. Sweat even tested the steam pipes to see if they were too hot to touch. He waited until summer, when the pipes would cool down. He was patient. The high moment of hope came on June 5, 2015. It was a Friday night. The prison routine continued as normal. Guards made rounds. Lights dimmed. Inmates pretended to sleep. Inside their cells, Sweat and Matt placed fake bodies under their blankets. They used extra clothes to shape them. They even left notes mocking the prison system. Then they slipped through the holes they had cut in their walls. They crawled through pipes and dark spaces. It was dirty and dangerous. They moved through a maze of tunnels. At one point, they reached a heavy pipe blocking their path. They used tools to cut it. Time was ticking. Every second mattered. Finally, they reached a manhole cover. Above them was a street outside the prison walls. Sweat pushed. The cover moved. Cold night air rushed in. Freedom was just above them. One by one, they climbed out. They walked away from the prison. No alarms sounded. No guards noticed. They disappeared into the dark. The next morning, during count, a guard noticed something strange. A boot was on the floor. He looked close at the bed. The body did not move. He pulled back the blanket. Clothes. No inmate. The guard froze. Then he ran. Moments later, the entire prison was on alert. David Sweat and Richard Matt had escaped. The state reacted fast. Police from everywhere arrived. Roadblocks were set up. Residents were warned to lock their doors. The woods around Dannemora became a battlefield of search teams. New York State Police, federal agents, K-9 units, helicopters, all looking for two men who had vanished into miles of forest. The extreme event that ends this chapter came days later. A homeowner reported something terrifying. Someone had tried to break into a nearby cabin. Food was missing. Clothes were taken. The escapees were close. Very close. Search teams rushed toward the area. Dogs picked up a scent. Helicopters circled overhead. Officers tightened their line. They were closing in. But the woods were thick. The ground was uneven. And the two men were still out there, armed, desperate, and running. The manhunt had only just begun. The woods were quiet. Too quiet. Officers moved slowly through the thick trees. Their boots sank into mud. Branches snapped under their feet. Helicopters hovered above, scanning with heat cameras. Somewhere in those woods were two escape killers, and the entire state of New York was watching. David Sweat and Richard Matt had been on the run for days. They moved at night. They stole food from empty cabins. They drank from streams. They avoided roads. They knew the woods gave them cover. The forest became their shield. The search grew larger. More than 1,000 officers joined the hunt. Roadblocks blocked highways. Schools stayed closed. Families locked their doors early. Small towns felt frozen in fear. People checked their windows twice before going to bed. The low moment came when investigators discovered something shocking. Joyce Mitchell had planned to meet the men after they escaped. She was supposed to pick them up in a car. She was supposed to drive them away. But she panicked. At the last moment, she did not show up. She later said she was afraid. Afraid of what she had done. Afraid of what might happen next. Because she did not come, Sweat and Matt had to run into the woods instead. That single moment changed everything. In the forest, tensions between the two escapees began to rise. Matt was older and less careful. He drank alcohol he stole from cabins. He made noise. He wanted quick action. Sweat stayed focused. He wanted to move smart. Move slow. Move quiet. Their friendship began to crack. The high moment of hope for the police came when a scent trail was found near a hunting cabin. Dogs tracked it deep into the woods. Officers followed carefully, guns ready, eyes sharp. The trail led to fresh footprints, food wrappers, a campfire that was still warm. They were close, very close, but the forest was large, dense, full of hiding spots. The men slipped through again. Rain fell, washing away tracks. Fog rolled in, hiding shapes in the distance. Every time police thought they had them, the woods swallowed the trail. Days turned into weeks. The search spread across miles of forest. Drones scanned from above. Snipers positioned themselves on hills. Officers barely slept. The cost of the manhunt grew into millions of dollars. New York was determined to catch them. Then came the extreme moment. On June 26, nearly 3 weeks after the escape, a camper heard something. A branch breaking. A movement in the brush. Police responded fast. They surrounded the area. Suddenly, shots were fired. Richard Matt was spotted near cabin. He ran. Officers shouted for him to stop. He did not. Gunfire echoed through the trees. When the shooting stopped, Matt lay on the ground. The manhunt for him was over. He did not survive the encounter. But one man was still missing. David Sweat, the younger one, the smarter one, the quieter one, now alone in the wilderness, and more dangerous than ever. The woods were still not silent, because Sweat was still out there, watching, waiting, running, and the state of New York was not finished hunting him yet. The forest felt heavier now. Richard Matt was gone, but David Sweat was still out there, alone, cold, hungry, and running. Police knew he would be more careful now. Sweat did not drink. He did not take big risks. He studied the land like a map inside his head, but he was tired, and tired people make mistakes. After Matt was found, search teams tightened their circle. More officers arrived. More helicopters flew. Roadblocks stretched across highways. New York was still on edge. Parents walked children to buses. Farmers carried rifles while working in fields. No one felt safe. Sweat moved mostly at night. He stayed low in tall grass during the day. He stole small amounts of food when he could. He avoided cabins now. He knew police were watching those. The low point of the story came quietly. Sweat was running out of strength. His shoes were worn. His body was sore. He had been outside for almost 3 weeks. Rain soaked him. Cold wind hit him at night. He could not rest deeply. Every sound woke him. On June 28th, something changed. A state trooper named Jay Cook was driving down a quiet road near the Canadian border. He noticed a man walking along the edge of the road. The man looked thin, dirty, wearing dark clothes. The trooper slowed down. He looked closer. The man turned. Their eyes met. It was David Sweat. The extreme moment came fast. Sweat ran toward the woods. The trooper shouted commands. Sweat did not stop. The trooper fired. Sweat fell to the ground. He was alive, but wounded. After 23 days on the run, the last escapee had been caught. The manhunt was finally over. Ambulances rushed in. Officers surrounded the area. News spread quickly. New York could breathe again. Roadblocks came down. Schools reopened. Families unlocked their doors. The woods were quiet once more. Sweat was taken back into custody. He later admitted how carefully the plan had been built. How they cut through steel, how they crawled through pipes, how close they came to escaping for good. He said the only reason they ended up in the woods was because the pickup plan failed. One missed ride changed the entire outcome. Joyce Mitchell was arrested and charged. Her role in the escape shocked the public. A prison worker helping inmates break out. It forced the state to examine prison security closely. Rules were changed. Supervision became stricter. Tools were tracked more carefully. The escape had exposed weak spots, and New York made sure those weak spots were fixed. Clinton Correctional Facility returned to routine. Count, meals, work, lockdown. But something had changed forever. 2 holes in the wall had shaken an entire state. The prison break that shut down New York became one of the most famous escapes in modern American history. Not because the men disappeared forever, but because they got out at all. They cut through steel. They crawled through tunnels. They climbed into the night. And for weeks, they stayed free. In the end, one escapee did not survive the manhunt. The other was captured and returned to prison. The forest kept no secrets. The state restored order. But the memory remained. Because for 23 days, fear walked through the woods of New York. For 23 days, police searched every shadow. For 23 days, 2 men proved that even strong walls can be broken. And that is where the story ends. With a prison that was tested, a state that stood still, and a night when 2 men climbed out of a manhole and changed New York forever.